Hello world, it's Austin. Let's talk about being transgender and Christian. This week's video is going to be a little bit different because I have a bad cold and my voice is going on vacation occasionally. But anyway, let's talk about Lent. We're in the middle of this season of the church year right now that's all about repentance, reflection, and the road to the cross on Good Friday, and it's gotten me thinking about the cycle of life and death we experience in our daily lives. Right now, in the northernmost part of the northern hemisphere, where I live, we're experiencing something that people often call fake spring. It's this period from the beginning of February to the end of March where we occasionally get warm days that trick us into thinking that maybe winter is really over. Unfortunately, though, it's not. The sky continues to be slate gray, the ground is covered with ice and dirty snow and deep puddles, and the wind likes to blow cold around you when you're least expecting it. It feels like we might just live in this chilly, wet condition forever, like we're going to continue to live in a world without light. Or like Lent, this period of somber reflection is just the new state of things, inside and out. But then I start to think about all the life that's waiting underneath, that I can't see yet. I think of the seeds, deep underground, and the animals camouflaged and sleeping, and the sun, which is always there even when the clouds get in the way. I start to think about how Jesus was met by his disciples at one point when they started to feel uncomfortable with his constant foreshadowing comments about death. The disciples didn't want to hear it. They didn't want to think about the movement from life to death that could include their friend and teacher and Lord. But Jesus said in John 12:24, "Very truly I tell you, unless a grain of wheat falls into the earth and dies, it remains just a single grain. But if it dies, it bears much fruit." What the disciples weren't counting on, and what the whole world wasn't counting on, was that Jesus could move not just from life to death, but from death into life, too. And that's God's whole gig, really. God is all about taking things that die and making them alive again. Whether that's springtime coming after winter, or freeing people from slavery, or Jesus raising Lazarus, or the healing and comfort we find after grief, God moves the world back to life when it feels like death. Trans folks have some experience with this whole death to life thing. Some of us have been abandoned by the people who were supposed to love us unconditionally, and we've survived. Many of us experience the sense of death that comes from living with mental health issues like anxiety and depression, which tend to get worse in the winter. But we're still here as spring peeks around the corner. Some of us who have transitioned have felt like we've moved from death to life as our bodies begin to finally feel like our own. And some of us have died, and we mourn their deaths, and trust that even though their deaths were unjust, God's justice and love will always have the last word. We trust that spring is coming, that Easter is coming, and that God is with us through this darkness. We remember that we are one with Jesus who teaches us how to be seeds. So just hold on, because the world's about to bloom.